Welcome to Local Matters. Today we begin with one of the topics we've all been immersed in for the last several months, but is more important than ever to talk about now. As doctors have gained more experience in treating COVID-19, more people who've tested positive will recover. But what does recovery look like? Vicki Harrington guides walking tours highlighting the history of America's hometown as the owner of Spirit of Plymouth and is a COVID survivor. Vicki visited with Julie via Zoom to tell us her story. Julie?
Hi, Vicki. Welcome. Vicki Harrington, you are the owner of Spirit of Plymouth Walking Tours. Welcome today.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell me about Spirit of Plymouth Walking Tours? What is it and how did it start?
Sure. We give historic walking tours of downtown Plymouth. They last about 90 minutes. And I started doing them because I worked for Colonial Lantern Tours for many years as a tour guide. And they closed down when the owner retired, and I missed it. And I was too afraid to start my own, and friends kept saying, well, why not? Well, why not? And one day I ran out of good reasons, why not?
So you did it. So if I took a walking tour, what are some of the places you'd bring me to in Plymouth?
We generally start at the Hedge House Museum, where I am also a docent for the Plymouth Antiquarian Society in the summertime. And then we walk along the waterfront to the Mayflower, to the Rock, over to Governor Bradford, up to Chief Massasoit, and then all the way up Blyden Street, which of course is the oldest street in town, and even presumably, potentially the oldest in the country, and talk about the original site of Plymouth Plantation. Then we jump forward in time to the American Revolution, and I talk about Mercy Otis Warren, a colonel who was once a school teacher in Plymouth named Alexander Scammels. And we wander back down along the edge of the graveyard and back down North Street and return to the Hedge House.
Awesome. So people get a lot of history in this tour, a lot of history.
Absolutely. Local history.
That's
yes.
Great. That's excellent. Now, how has the pandemic affected your business? Are people still going on the walking tours?
I have only this summer allowed single family units to come on tours because I did not want people infecting each other, having had it myself. And I really wasn't able to walk the tour route till probably the end of July, early August in any case. I'm getting my own finger in my camera. And so this was supposed to be my breakthrough year, Plymouth's 400th celebration, and everybody's coming and all this excitement and hoopla and hype. And of course, every single large party that I had canceled, including my very first booking with a actual tour operating company called Memories Incorporated. But it is what it is. You have to be safe. And fortunately, I'm still just a tiny little home run business with minimal overhead.
Yeah.
And so we'll be just fine.
Good. And it will come back.
We did salvage the season with a murder, mystery, and mayhem tour.
Excellent.
We had an interactive street theater performance going on.
Good.
And we just asked each family unit of or traveling parties to stay 6 feet from one another.
Excellent. Good for you. Let's talk about you. You are a COVID survivor. You did contract COVID. Can you tell me about when that happened and how you got it?
Yeah, sure. I believe it was about March 20th. I was at work and I had what I thought was my usual winter cough. And I do that all winter long every year, so it was no concern to me. I didn't feel ill in any way. And I left the office that Friday, and I work in Sandwich for disaster specialists during the day. And by the time I made it home, I was coughing so hard I could not sing along with the radio.
Wow.
But it was another 9 days before I could even get tested. They just weren't available. And I'd call, oh, you haven't been out of the country. You haven't been to a conference. You don't know anybody who's ill. And finally, I couldn't breathe. I called the hotline and answered yes to whatever they asked me.
Right. So did you just have the cough, or was there other symptoms that you had? Did you have a fever? Did you have shortness of breath?
I had horrible shortness of breath. I lost my sense of taste and smell.
Yep.
Which I didn't realize until my son, the paramedic, asked me about it. I felt so miserable. The fatigue was the worst. I only had a minor fever that lasted less than 24 hours. That's why one of the reasons they didn't want to test me. But I ended up having pneumonia in both lungs. And
did you have to be hospitalized?
I couldn't take a deep enough breath to yawn.
Oh my! Did you have to go in the hospital?
I was only in the emergency room at Mass General for about 4 hours.
Okay.
My oxygen levels stayed at 96. which is considered normal even when I got up and moved around. So they sent me home. The poor nurse was apologizing all over the place. Even a week ago, we would have kept you for this. I'm so sorry. And she offered me a wheelchair to get me back outside. And I said, oh no, if I can't walk out of here, I'm not leaving.
So were you just treated with over-the-counter medications? You just treated your symptoms? Is that what happened?
Pretty much. They gave me IV fluids in the ER, and they gave me 2 different antibiotics. Now, antibiotics will not treat a virus, as most people know. However, they will keep the pneumonia fluid in my lungs from becoming infected with bacteria.
Excellent.
And so I did 2 of those and an albuterol inhaler.
Yep.
Beyond that, it was just over-the-counter things.
Okay. And how long did this whole event last for you?
For about 5 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
And at 6 weeks, I went back to the office and worked about 3 hours a day.
Okay. And did you get tested regularly during your bout with this to see if you continued to test positive?
Nobody was interested.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It was hard enough to get the first test at that point.
Right.
No one in my family was tested. None of my coworkers were.
Have you had the test to determine if you have the antibodies for it now?
Yes. The end of June, I tested positive for antibodies.
Okay. So we don't know this, but it is assumed if you have the antibodies, you can't get at least the same strain of COVID again. But we don't know that for sure, correct?
We don't know yet.
So,
Yeah.
masks. Tell me what you feel about masks. And now the governor has just ordered a mask mandate for everyone in the state, everywhere, even outside. How do you feel about masks?
I think everybody should be wearing a mask. I also think that people should not assume that that keeps them 100% safe and that they can, hang out and hug and kiss and do all the things we used to do, because it's not 100%. However, if you sneeze into the air or if you sneeze into your hand, you can clearly see the difference. So it makes perfect sense to me to wear a mask, and everyone around you should be wearing a mask. And choosing not to wear one is a really selfish choice, because you're not protecting yourself by wearing a mask. You're protecting the people around you.
Exactly. And I just walk around, if you assume that everyone is positive, then you always kind of take the most logical path to not get infected. You always keep your distance, you always wear a mask, wash your hands constantly, and that's the best you can do, I would think, for what we know right now.
Absolutely. Just take it seriously.
Yeah.
Why would you be careless about a disease deadlier than that?
Right. And now that we're going into the winter.
Period.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And how do you...
With the flu, within 2 days, 2 to 5 days, that you're the one who's ill. With this one, it could be 2 weeks you're walking around with no idea.
And the fact that there's so many people walking around asymptomatic that have this and don't know they have it, which is really unusual, because with the flu, that never happens. You have symptoms if you have the flu. With this, there's an awful lot of people who don't have any symptoms. So it's a scary disease that way, because it's a silent disease. You don't know who has it.
Exactly.
So how do you think we are taking care of each other during this? Or do you think people have come together more, or has this separated us?
In some ways, we've come together, and people that we are close to and know about, people I would have never guessed would come to my rescue, were bringing me food or Gatorade or picking up medication, making sure we had everything we needed. I know a lot of people who are donating to food pantries who never thought about it before. But there's also this divisiveness about wearing a mask, like it's some sort of tyranny being asked to wear a mask. I don't get it. That part really disturbs me.
Yeah, it's a very small ask, really, of everyone. When you think about it, it's a pretty
gross.
small
I get
ask.
sick of it. I don't ever want to see a mask again.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still
I know.
wearing it.
Yeah, we want to get this over and done with so we can go back to not wearing a mask.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I'm so glad you look wonderful. You look healthy. Any lingering side effects from this at all, or have you kind of gone back to where you were before?
I'm pretty close to normal. I'm out of breath much sooner than I would normally be. But that would be the same for any kind of pneumonia. I'm 54 years old. You don't get your strength back like you did in your 20s.
That's right.
Don't. It'll be
That's
time.
right. Okay.
I've been screened by a cardiologist and a pulmonologist, and there are no lingering signs of damage. So I will be full power eventually.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so good to hear. It's good to hear a good story. Vicki, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your story. And good luck with the walking tours. And I hope next year you have tons of people that go on them all the time.
Thank you so much. Take care and be safe.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Julie. Vicki, we wish you continued good health, and thank you for sharing your experience. The history of Plymouth can't be accurately told without the contribution of women. On November 7th, the Plymouth Antiquarian Society and Pilgrim Hall Museum invite you to learn about the female pioneers and trailblazers who helped shape the foundation of this country. Join Dr. Donna Curtin on a virtual tour of Burial Hill, where she'll take you through 400 years of extraordinary women. The tour will be streamed live through both organizations' Facebook pages, and you don't need a Facebook account to view the tour. For questions, email Dr. Ann Mason at director@PlymouthAntiquarian.org. Stick with the Remarkable Women in History theme and sign up for Plymouth Public Library's virtual visit with author Catherine Aalto when she'll be discussing her book, Writing Wild: Women Poets, Ramblers, and Mavericks Who Shape How We See the Natural World. From 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on November 9th, explore female nature writers of the last 200 years. You can check out an ebook of this title through Hoopla to read before or after the event. To register, visit PlymouthPublicLibrary.org. Podcasting is the wave of, well, right now. Whether you prefer news, music, documentaries, or scripted programming, podcasts are an informative and entertaining way to pass the time. But what are they, and where do you get access to them? On November 13th, visit the Duxbury Senior Center with your smartphone for Podcast 101, a program that will cover all the things you need to know about this exciting form of audio entertainment. This is an in-person event and has limited spots available. To register, visit duxburyseniorcenter.org. Discover the music maker in you. From now until November 30th, the Duxbury Free Library is inviting ages 13 to 18 to a beat-making and lyricism virtual workshop. Learn how to create an original track, write a song, or learn the art of rhyming from some of the most gifted MCs in the industry. All you need is a computer and a pair of headphones. Feel free to attend all classes, but make sure you register for each one separately. To register, visit duxburyfreelibrary.org. On a late September afternoon, Soul Homestead and Plymouth Rocks events conspired to bring live music back into people's lives. Max, from the local scene, was there to talk to some of the musicians and concert goers.
Welcome to the Soul Homestead Music Series. We really love bringing people together and having music on the farm. It's such an important part of our mission here to have culture and arts. So when people come here, hopefully they get here a little early and they can take a walk around the farm and see the animals and and the gardens and everything like that, and then find themselves a space, a little socially distant space to watch the music and enjoy.
It was just a chance to night out with my wife, a night out at the Soul Homestead, live music, and of course Mayflower Brewery is here too, so that's an attraction as well, icing on the cake.
I'm here to listen to some great music. Jake Hill and Mountain Weekend, two extremely talented, performers, well, band and performer.
Hi, my name is Jake Hill. I am a singer-songwriter. I've been doing this for about 20 years. Play, it's kind of folk music, Americana music, just American music.
Band's called Mountain Weekend. We are from Middleborough, Massachusetts, and we play New England-style Americana.
So we've always had music here at Soul in the summertime, and this year obviously it's been a little different, but basically it's just us working with the town. How many people could we have on site? 50 people right now is the maximum for something like this. That includes the bands, that includes the staff and the help here. So really it's just a matter of working with the town to make sure we could have the bands here. Everybody, obviously it's a farm, there's plenty of space to distance properly. And so that's really what it was, just working together with the town to make it happen.
Since COVID arrived, we haven't played live. So this is our first time, so we're at the end of September. This is our first time playing live since January 3rd of 2020. So it's definitely affected us and our ability to get out there and get our songs in front of people. For us, we really build on the energy of the audience and on the crowd. So for us, it's everything. I mean, it's fun to play together in the studio and write songs and practice, but the whole point of this is to get our original music out in front of new people. So for us to be able to get in front of a crowd again is critical. So we're really excited to be here.
The power of live music is a huge thing. It's a big thing for other people. It's a big thing for the performer. It's medicine for some people. So to not be able to do that for the public is a weird thing, and it's nice to be back here. I don't have any other upcoming shows. I probably won't perform again until things are back to normal, whatever that is. I'm recording a lot more, and I'm focusing more on writing and using my time that way, which is what I prefer to do anyway. So it's not really that big of a deal for me, but a lot of my friends that are national touring artists, their lives are kind of really in shambles right now, and I feel so bad for them.
Am I feeling a greater sense of normalcy? It does feel kind of strange to be in a controlled crowd. I'm very much looking forward to when, all of these restrictions can kind of be tossed out the window and, when that eventually comes. But I am thankful, to be able to congregate, in the way that we are right now. All these steps and, as we're building towards, back to what we kind of had, that sense of normalcy. Little progressions like this make it very exciting because it just feels like one step closer to the final destination, which is, highly anticipated.
How's it feel being in a controlled crowd, and is there a sense of normalcy? Pretty much, yeah. This is this whole social distancing, everything's kind of set up for that here. Pretty much wherever you go, it's kind of the new normal. So I'm really comfortable with it. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being out of control, how are we going to make it, and a 1 or a 0 being absolutely normal. This is like a 1 or a 2. It's just, you just kind of pay attention, show respect to your fellow people with the distance and the mask. Everyone's on board with that, it's all good. I've been here several times before, and I just like to take it all in. It's a nice blend of nature, a real live active farm, some old school traditions of how they do things around here. I just really love the setting here and really what they stand, what they do.
Have I been to Soul Homestead before? Yes, I have been. I've been here one other time. I played a show. I'm a performer myself. But a lot of my friends are local farmers and they farm out up here, and this place holds a special place in my heart, in my friends' heart for that reason. I know that it supports a lot of their livelihoods.
Soul Homestead, I've been coming here for a bunch of years now. I met Farmer Dave through the Plymouth Farmers Market probably about 10 years ago. And I'm all about helping these people that are really teaching children valuable things about the earth and not just, scaring them into thinking that everybody's gonna be sick. So I love what they stand for here, and I hope one day to have a farm this size myself.
Personally, my connection to the Soul homestead goes back to my youth. I had some good friends that lived here for a while when I was in high school. I can remember being here as a kid, just enjoying this property. And so for me, it's definitely sentimental to be here. I've seen some great concerts here in the past as well. And so for me, it's sort of a moment of, it's a moment of sort of nostalgia to be here again. As far as tonight goes, I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be, there's a good crowd here tonight, as many as we can fit. And I think it's gonna be really rewarding for us to just play our songs again in front of people.
To celebrate National Happy Hour Day on November 12th, the Duxbury Senior Center is hosting a virtual wine tasting. Join Siobhan from Snug Harbor Wines as she takes you through a variety of quintessential wines that will pair well with your holiday feasts. Happy Hour begins at 5 o'clock. To register, visit the Duxbury Senior Center website. On November 8th, sign on to Zoom for the Concord Public Library's Poetry at the Library series, when you'll hear local poets Jeffrey Harrison and Matthew Lipman recite verses from their respective collections. With subjects ranging from personal loss to today's contentious political climate, poetry can be a profound and literal way to relate and connect. The poets take the virtual stage at 3 p.m. To register, visit concordlibrary.org. For years, local author and ordained minister Judith Campbell has been working the town of Plymouth into her many mystery novels. It can be tricky locating a novel in a real town based on real people and history. On November 12th at 11 a.m., learn how this author enhances her tales using bits and pieces of America's hometown. Visit the Plymouth Public Library's website to register for this free virtual event. The Medicare Advantage and Drug Plan open enrollment is now open. Here are some tips to help you through open enrollment. Check your mail. You'll be getting information about any changes in coverage to your current plan or assistance in paying for prescription drugs. Take the time to read through what is covered in your current plan, because cost, coverage, providers, and pharmacies in their network can also change. Go online and visit www.medicare.gov to review your own healthcare visit information, review payments and claims, view your preventative benefits, and print medication lists. And to get local assistance, call your local senior center where a representative from SHINE is eager to help you. SHINE is an acronym for Serving the Health Insurance Needs of Everyone, and provides free, unbiased counseling, information, and assistance to Massachusetts residents with Medicare, their caregivers, and those approaching Medicare eligibility. Statewide, there are more than 600 certified volunteer counselors trained to assist residents with Medicare. Open enrollment runs through December 7th. When you combine music and science together in a live performance, you create something out of this world. Composer David Ibett teams up with the Museum of Science on November 12th to host Multiverse, Octave of Light. The Charles Hayden Planetarium is the stage where music, stunning visuals, and a breakdown of exoplanet science from Dr. Clara Souza Silver will converge in this live and free online event. Visit the Museum of Science Facebook page to register. Lloyd Schwartz is a professor at UMass Boston, the Poet Laureate of Somerville, Massachusetts, and the classical music critic for NPR. This is his original work.
Hi, I'm going to read 3 poems, and each of them has some element of dialogue in it. The first poem is Renato's Dream, Brazil, 1991. Such a sweet dream. I dreamed I was having a conversation with the great poets, Manuel Bandeira and Carlos Drummond de Andrade. I was born tired, hungry, and cold, I said. And Drummond answered, I too. he tells his mother what he's working on. I'm writing a poem about you. You are? What's it about? It's the story about your childhood, the horses in the river. The ones that nearly drowned, I saved them. You told it to me just a few weeks ago. I should dig up more of my memories. I wish you would. Like when I lived on the farm and one of the girls fell down the well? Yes. I forget if it was Rose or Pauline. It was a deep well. I remember that story. Have you finished your poem? I'm still working on it. You mean you're correcting it with commas and semicolons? Exactly. When can I see it? As soon as it's finished. Is it an epic? It's not that long. No, I mean all of my thoughts, the flashes of what's going through my life, the whole family history, living through the woe, the river and the water. I know. Will it be published? I have to finish it first. It's better to write about real life. That's more important than writing something fanciful. I try to write all my poems about real life. You see, the apple never falls far from the tree. I guess not. You're my apple. There's probably a worm crawling through that apple. Then it's got something sweet to chew on. Well, you're my tree. Yes, I'm your tree. You're an apple. I'm a tree. And the last poem is actually a sestina. 6 words. Yes, no, maybe, sometimes, always, never. Never? Yes. Always? No. Sometimes. Maybe, maybe never sometimes. Yes, no, always. Always, maybe. No, never, yes. Sometimes, sometimes, always, yes. Maybe never. No, no, sometimes. Never. Always? Maybe. Yes. Yes. No. Maybe. Sometimes. Always. Never. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Schwartz, and thank you for staying with us for this episode of Local Matters. We're committed to shining a light on the places, resources, and people of this community where everyone's story is equally important, regardless of where you come from, who you love, or who you vote for. From all of us at PAC TV, have a happy and safe week. We'll see you next time.